Welcome to the Wholehearted Business Show. This week I am delighted to be chatting to the amazing Alex Strauss. I've worked with Alex over a number of years now, and she is a very experienced coach, a very experienced business owner. And on today's episode, we're talking about lots of different topics, including starting and growing a coaching business when you're 40, 50, 60 plus. We talk about how to pivot if your interests change in your coaching business. We're talking about how to market your coaching business without social media. Alex has never used social media to grow her business at all. And we're talking about how to feel more confident on camera using practices like face yoga as well. This is an excellent interview. Let's jump in. Well, welcome Alex to the Wholehearted Business Show. You have been on the show before. I will link to that episode. We did one that must have been like, oh gosh, quite a few years ago, I think, when we did that.
It was
You
a
were one of
few
my
years
first
ago.
guests.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were one of my
Yeah.
first guests. And we talked about lots of different things on that episode. And I think we're going to talk about lots of different things on this episode.
We are. I think at that point we were mostly talking about walking in
Yes.
nature and
Yeah.
yeah, so
Yeah. And I
a
think
few years later.
there's so many things that I think we're going to talk about today because we've worked together for quite a long time now. We were saying before, haven't we? We've worked together for quite a few years. And I think your business has changed quite a lot. And actually, I've just remembered I put some notes down about things for us to talk about. And I've just thought, actually, we should talk about pivoting as well. There's another
Yes,
thing
we totally
that you've got
can. Yeah, because
experience
that has
in.
been a whole thing for
Um,
me. It's been
yeah,
taking some effort, to
yeah.
do that.
Yeah, but before we dive into all of the topics that we can cover today, do you want to just introduce yourself for everyone who might not know who you are, how fabulous you are? You tell everyone who's
Sure.
listening a bit about
Yeah.
you.
My name is Alex Strauss. I have a couple of different brands in the online space. One of them is the Mindful Walker, and that's when Laura and I, that first episode, if you link to that, you can hear
Yes.
all about that. I wrote a book a few years ago about walking in nature, and I talk about all the physical, mental, and spiritual benefits of connecting with nature, and that has done really well. I made videos in that space. I had a YouTube channel, still have a YouTube channel, a book, a card deck, some beautiful journals. It all still exists. That's called themindfulwalker.com. And then my second brand is amazingfaceyoga.com, because in about 2020, I started training to teach. I'd been doing facial exercises myself for a few years prior to that, just dabbling and learning about this concept, which is relatively new to the Western world, but people in Eastern countries have been doing this for hundreds and hundreds of years. But anyway, in about 2020, I started training to teach facial yoga, and I set up Amazing Face Yoga. And I have a membership, and I teach women, mostly women in their 50s, 60s, and 70s, although we do dip down into the 40s. I know Laura has been in there
Yes.
before trying out some of these things. And I teach every week different facial exercises to basically tone and keep the muscles of your face, head, and neck in great shape, so we look the best we can, the best version of ourselves as we age, and we do it naturally. Most of the folks who are drawn to me either aren't interested in invasive type
Mhm.
things, or they've had them in the past and they don't want to do them again. They just want to age naturally and in the healthiest way possible and in the best way possible. So that's amazingfaceyoga.com. And so those are my two brands. I've been doing online business since, I guess, the Mindful Walker came out in 2016. So about 10 years now. And Laura you have been my main source of wisdom in that space for pretty much that whole time. Because when I got into it, I had no earthly idea what I was doing. And of course, it's changed a lot in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
But it has been a fun ride. I'm glad I've been there with you, because you've been a giant help, and it's been fun to watch our two businesses both
Yeah.
grow and evolve over time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for anyone who's watching, anyone who's listening on the podcast, go and check out this YouTube video because you'll see how amazing Alex looks. But as a result, she really is the best advertisement for her face.
Oh,
She's
you're
fabulous.
nice. Thank you, Laura. I am turning 60 this summer, and my goal is just to continue to look as good as I can for
Yeah.
my age as we get older. And as I'm always telling people, there is nothing short of a facelift, which is temporary, but
Yeah.
you're not going to look like you're 35 again. at
Yeah.
60. And that is not my goal. My
Mhm.
goal is to look the best I can for my age. So when people say, and when I say I'm turning 60, they're like, oh, you look great. Great. Okay. I look great for 60. They don't
Yeah.
say, oh my God, you look like a 40-year-old, you know? So
Yeah.
that's, yeah, thanks. I appreciate you saying that. And I'm very pleased with how facial exercise has helped me personally.
Yeah.
And my students have had
Yeah.
great results too. And we just have fun. That's
Yeah.
a big part of it. It's just
Yeah.
taking care of yourself, pampering yourself, doing
Yeah.
something nice for yourself, and having a good time while you do it. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Amazing. Very, very good. Well, everyone go and check that out. I mean, we'll talk a bit more about it as we wrap up the episode as well. But I think, well, obviously you are such an experienced business owner and you've been in this space for a really long time, as we've just been saying. You know, we a lot of the people that listen to the podcast, listen to the show, I think are like over 40, over 50, are starting coaching businesses for the first time. And it can feel like, especially the online space, can feel like it's much more geared up towards being younger, as
Oh,
every
definitely.
space in in the world, really. Let's face it, there's not many places where it can feel like that you would have an advantage if you were younger, or there's something there about aging, especially obviously as women, can have that impact. Have you got any thoughts or any experiences that you can share for people who might be navigating that kind of feeling, like really wanting to start a coaching business, really wanting to build a business, perhaps for the first time, but feeling like just that sense of this space not being for them,
Yeah.
being maybe too old to do that, anything like that?
Well, for one thing, I personally feel like the online space is fantastic for people who are older,
Yeah.
for people who are aging, I'm not
Yeah.
sure how to say it, for mature women,
Yes. Yeah.
largely because for so many reasons, but largely because it's completely accessible to us, ladies. It doesn't matter what you have done for your career in the past. If you have some area of expertise, man, you can jump into the internet and talk to people all over the world. And you can do it from home. You can do it if you have physical limitations. You can do it if you're retired. You can do it if you're tired.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
take a nap in the afternoon, which I do sometimes.
Yeah.
It's okay. You can structure an online business around your life and really leverage a lifetime of knowledge and expertise in a way that you cannot in any other way. You can't reach people all around the world from your house in any other way. It's inexpensive. If you're in retirement and you're on a budget and you've got to be careful about, all you need is an internet connection and a computer, and you got to have the chutzpah to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's the other
Yeah.
thing. But I really feel like this is an opportunity space for women as we get older. We've spent a lifetime getting to know whatever our area is,
Yeah.
and now we have the opportunity to share it in a way that did not exist when I was younger. And
Yeah.
I wouldn't have had time for it anyway. But
Yeah.
now that I'm older, I have the time and I have the opportunity to do it. So I'm a huge fan of this for any woman who wants to start a business. And
Yeah.
yes, does it feel like it's skewed towards younger people? Yep, but so does the entire flipping world,
Entirety
let's
of the
be
world. I
honest, right?
know.
So,
Yeah.
you're either gonna put yourself out there in the world and or online, or you're not. And I that's a personal preference. You got to decide what you're comfortable with. But I know that a lot of people who are my age and older, even a lot of my friends, are very intimidated by the tech.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
they're like, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to set this up. I'm not very techy. I can't always even work my cell phone. Okay.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the thing is, there are people who do know how to do that. And it's getting easier all the time. Even when I started, right,
Yeah.
Laura,
Yes. Oh,
there
yeah.
were
Oh, yeah.
fewer options. There weren't the Kajabis and the
Yes.
schools and the circle and the teachable and those things were just getting started. And these are all platforms for
Yeah.
if you make courses or you teach online.
Yeah.
So if it's something that you want, and you have some expertise or some knowledge or something that you're passionate about that you want to share with others, or you want to create a community around, or you want to coach people in, there are people like Laura who can totally help you with the
Yeah.
tech. And it's so much easier than it used to be. Honestly, you can set things up literally in an afternoon if
Yeah.
you have a computer
Yeah.
and the willingness to
Yes.
learn. It's not as complicated as you think it is.
Yeah.
So that's what I would say to people my age and who want to do this. Just dive in, find a coach like Laura, somebody who coaches people who want to run online
Yeah.
businesses, and just find out how to do it.
Yeah.
It's not as hard as you think.
Yeah.
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 And
And then,
it's so rewarding. It's so fun.
yes.
Because
Yeah.
don't you agree, Laura?
Oh,
Because you get to
100%.
meet people
Yeah.
from all over the
Yeah.
world. You get to
Yeah.
connect with people. If I didn't have an online business, I would not have met Laura. And Laura's one of my besties. And I'm so delighted to
Exactly.
be able to know this lovely woman from across the pond that I would
Yes.
not have even met. And
Yeah.
some of my best friends now are people that I've met by having an online business and
Yeah.
connecting with people around the
Yeah.
world. So rather than some people in retirement, especially, or as they get older, there's a tendency to pull
Yeah.
in. Maybe you
Yeah.
don't have the connections you had when you were working. You don't have the connections that you had when your kids were in school and you saw other parents and stuff.
Mhm.
And they tell us that social connection is so important for our health,
Yeah.
as we get older,
Yeah.
our mental and our physical health. And this is one way. No, it's not a substitute for seeing people in person and stuff like that, but also it's one way to stay connected with other people and meet new people and challenge your brain and all of that. So
Yeah.
many good things about it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think what you were saying there as well about the fact that the ages that we're talking about, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, the amount of life experience you've got. And I think there is something that
Yes.
happens when I'm just about to turn 44. I think there's something that happens when you get over 40 where you just it just something just clicks as it did for me, and I just think yeah, the time to faff is gone. I think
Right.
I don't think you feel like you're running out of time. I just think you've got less shits to give, I think is probably the best way to think of it. And I actually think there's so
Absolutely.
many, I think there
Yes.
are so many people who decide to start coaching businesses in this age range because they do
Yes.
recognize that they've got a lot to offer people. They've got a lot of life experience. I think as well that this is the time, it is like people do get to this point and they just think, well, perhaps I've been doing a job for however long and that is not working for me and I want to do something different for the rest of my life. And now's such a good time to
Right.
do it.
Right.
I think the best time to start a coaching business is always right now for
Agreed.
anyone, no matter
Agreed.
what your
Yeah.
age is. And as you say,
Right.
the tech doesn't have to be a problem for you. And we're going to talk a bit about social media because I think that is an interesting topic. We're going to
Yeah.
talk a bit about that
Yeah.
because I think it probably is in terms of feeling like that the online business space is very dominated by younger people. I think that is probably quite an not exclusive, but generally quite a social media orientated thing.
Yes.
I think once you start to
Yes.
come out of that bubble,
That's so true.
I think you start to
Yes.
see that that's not so much the case. But this is a good time to get into the social media conversation. So, when we last spoke on the show, I know we talked quite a bit about the fact that you don't use social media to grow your business at all. So,
Nope.
and I know that a lot of people who listen and watch the show are very much interested in not having to use social media because a lot of us, highly sensitive, heart-centered types, fucking hate social media,
Yes.
basically.
Thank you.
Essentially.
Thanks for just
So,
saying it, Laura.
yeah,
Put it out there.
absolutely hate it for lots of reasons. But what does this look like for you like why you decided not to use it? What's your reasons for not wanting to use social media? And also, therefore, how you do market your business without it.
Yeah. Well, I don't use social media because I don't use social media. That's
Yeah.
the bottom line.
Yeah.
I've never been on Facebook. I was actually, that's not true. I was on Facebook personally for about 2 weeks in my 40s. and I hated it. I just hated it. I don't like it. It's too busy for me. It's too chaotic, and it's so much more so than it used to be.
Yeah.
It's so crowded. It's so noisy. It's so skewed. As someone who, in my former career, was a news reporter, and I hate that social media just skews you to, it gives this skewed idea of what the news is, of what's happening in the world. People don't realize that they're just being manipulated to think that there's just this one avenue that they're being funneled down. I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like the noise, and I don't like the chaos, and I don't like the way it works, and I don't like the people in charge of it, and I don't like that an algorithm is going to decide for me who gets to see me and who doesn't. And it's just bleh, bleh. I just don't, I hate the way it feels icky. So I set about finding other ways. And so I've done a lot of different unconventional things, and one of the first things I did was write a book. It's not a very long book. It's a simple book. It's a book I'm really proud of, but it's very sweet. It's very simple. It's not very long. It wasn't very difficult. And I figured out how to publish it on Amazon and publish it elsewhere. That was a learning curve, but that was actually the first thing I did before I had an online business. I had a book. And then I began to find out that, oh, if you have a book, you can leverage that and sell some little course type of things online. You can put it in your book and say, go to my website, and then I can give you more support for what I'm talking about in my book. So I gradually learned about that, figured out how to set up a little course, a little audio thing, and then that gradually grew into some other stuff. But a lot of my early traffic came from the book. And then following on from that, I had this website, so I started blogging. So I started talking about the topics that are in my book, and I optimized those blog posts. And Laura knows a lot about this. She talks a lot about having some pillar content that is optimized for the internet. It's still a way for people to find you if it's well optimized for SEO, and also for AI to find you as well. But that's an option as well. And then once I started blogging, I found out, and all of these I'm just discovering as I go along, I discovered that you can embed a video in a blog post. Didn't know that. So I figured out how to do that. And so I started making some videos on YouTube. So I set up a YouTube channel. And again, if you're like, oh God, I'd have no idea how to set up a YouTube channel. Number one, people like Laura can help you do that in about 15 minutes. Number two, you can Google it. There is nothing anymore that you can't just go, how do I set up a YouTube channel? And you will find a video that talks you through how to set up a YouTube. So I did that. So I started making videos, and gradually people found those, and they would follow me. And in my videos, I would say, go to my website and get on my email list. So I gradually built an email list. And then as that kind of gradually grew, I heard about the idea of online summits. And so I put together a thing where I mentioned that I used to be a reporter. I know how to interview people. So I started looking on the internet for people who had messages that kind of aligned with the sort of thing that I taught. I'd reach out to them. I'd say, can I interview you and record it for this summit that I'm going to have? And so I found a bunch of really nice people that were willing to be interviewed. And I did about 30-minute interviews with them. And I put all of that on a website and told people that they could sign up for that. And that kind of grew my list. So, it's just sort of like one step at a time. I did not do all these things at once. I did one thing and then another thing, and then it kind of grew, and I learned how to do one thing after another. So for me, and then most recently has been a podcast. So I kind of jumped into the podcast realm, and I have a podcast for my face yoga business, which is called Face Yoga After 50. If you're curious about face yoga, definitely check that one out, because I'm very proud of that. But that's been my latest thing. And all of these things were completely social media free.
Yeah.
And they have all gradually grown my list over time without having to do any social media.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's amazing. I think again it just goes to show the range of stuff that you can still do to market your business without having to even touch social media at all. I think you're
Yeah.
such a good example of that. And I know that Evergreen, because the podcast is an evergreen podcast, so if you've recorded that, it exists there. I'd love to for you to talk a bit more about that evergreen kind of concept. I think we had someone on one of my, because I did a little audio summit and she talked about the evergreen kind of concept. But do you want to talk a bit about what this looks like for you and how you approached it and what your thoughts were around the content that you wanted to have in that?
Yeah. So I kudos to Rosemary Calendar
Yes,
is her
yes,
name. And
yeah,
I listened to Rosemary's Evergreen podcast
yeah,
about evergreen podcasts. And what we mean by evergreen is just that I'm not making new episodes. I maybe I will down the road, maybe if I want to add to it a little bit. But the idea is this is not a sequential podcast like what Laura does. I'm
yeah,
not making a new episode every week and I'm not promoting it that way. I have made it as its own little contained thing. And it's designed to be kind of a journey, as Rosemary refers to it as a journey. This podcast is my sales tool,
yeah,
basically.
yeah,
And it's designed, each episode is designed to talk people through who are starting. You have to start with some curiosity about face yoga. So I've
yeah,
set it up so that if someone is searching for face yoga online or in their podcast app, that they might stumble onto it, right? And again, it's called Face Yoga After 50. So if someone is looking for that, they're likely to find it.
yeah,
And then it talks them through what is facial yoga, why you can't learn it effectively from YouTube videos.
yeah,
And if you're
yeah,
curious, go check it out because I tell you exactly why that's a bad idea. Why face yoga, maybe you've tried face yoga and it's maybe not working for you. Here's why. I have a bunch of episodes that kind of take you through what it is, who it's for, why you might want to do it, and then ultimately why you should do it with me, right? And
yeah,
I invite people in each episode. Come on over, try out my membership. I offer a 14-day free trial inside that Evergreen podcast. And so
yeah.
every episode says, this is what I do, this is who I am. If you're curious, come over and try it out. In each episode, I
Hmm.
say that as I'm talking people through it. So the idea is after you've listened, if you binge those episodes and you listen, right now there's 10, there's going to ultimately be 12.
Yeah,
But if you binge those 10 episodes, you will know everything there is to know about face yoga, what it is, where it came from, how it works, who it's for, and who I am and what I do, and whether or not you maybe want to learn with me. And that's the point of it. It sits there as its own kind of sales tool and answers all the questions that people might have and hopefully entices people to come over and give it a shot.
yeah,
And I love that idea. It was fun to do. It was fun to record. I'm really proud of it. It's really nice. And even if somebody doesn't work with me, ultimately, it's a great way to learn what this is, to learn all about it and the history of it and how it works. Yeah. And then it
yeah,
just kind of sits out there as this sort of educational tool out
yeah.
on the internet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that. I think it's such a good concept for anyone who wants to explore this kind of thing, but is put off by the pressure to have to constantly create more content. I
Yeah.
think that's something I often talk about a similar kind of concept with blogging, where you might create a set of kind of
Right.
core blog posts, maybe 10, and they work in a really similar way. And I think it's a refreshing way
Does.
to look at it for people who are like, oh, I really don't like the idea of having to constantly create new stuff. It doesn't mean
Yeah.
it's going to be any less effective. It's just a different strategy, isn't it?
It's just different. And it's the
Yeah,
same, right? It's the same concept as that
yeah,
pillar blog content.
yes,
You
yeah,
have to optimize it. And when we
yes,
say optimize, that's your tags and your keywords and your description. And all of those things are really, really important for searchability.
yeah,
If you want to be, if you want people to find that, then you gotta kajigger the things on the
yeah,
back end a little bit
yeah,
so that it will be findable. But yeah, it's the same kind of
yeah,
concept. And then it just sits there. So if you like the idea of audio, but you think, oh, if I did a podcast, I'd have to do that forever and I'd have to get no, you don't. You don't.
yeah,
And there are other limited, they'll call them a limited series, right? Surely you've heard
Yes.
that. Like even
Yeah.
crime podcasts, they have
Yes.
maybe 8 episodes about this particular crime, and it just sits there
Yeah.
as its own limited series.
Yes.
They do it on Netflix, just
Yes.
a
Yes.
limited series.
Yes.
There are
Yeah.
5 episodes, and it doesn't mean that nobody is going to ever watch that show again.
Mm.
There are 5 episodes,
Yeah.
and people are still gonna find it, and they're gonna watch it even though there are only 5 episodes.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, I really loved that
Yeah.
concept,
Yeah,
and it was fun
it's
to
a brilliant
make.
concept. I love it. And again, I think what's interesting about your business is again to come onto that pivoting. So as you said, you started off with a mindful walker and the content around walking and nature connection, and then kind of transitioned into this. How did that pivoting process look? Because you built a quite substantial audience, didn't you, around the mindful walker, and then transitioned into this. How did you do that? How did
I
you do that?
did. I wouldn't recommend it. I would
Keeping it real,
recommend that
Alex. I
you
love it.
start. Well, it has been a little bit of a
Yeah.
struggle. I mean, you
Yeah,
helped
yeah,
me
no, that's
through that.
yeah,
And
yeah,
now I do talk about these 2 distinct brands because they
yes,
are 2 brands. There is crossover between them. There are definitely
yes,
people in the nature connection audience who are interested in natural aging, natural
yeah,
face care,
yeah,
and non-interventional ways to take care of your skin,
yeah.
etc. But they're not all the same. I have a lot of guys in my
Mhm,
nature audience.
mhm.
They just didn't. So for a while after I got interested in face yoga,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
and then I saw the opportunity to teach it. And I
yeah,
still have this other brand. And I thought, well, maybe I'll try to combine them. And for a while, I
yes,
talked about well-being and how face yoga could fit in. And you take your nature walks, you do your face yoga, and take care for your mental and physical health. And it was fine, but it was muddy. It
yeah,
just
yeah,
wasn't it wasn't the best way to do it. And I think it confused some people in my
hmm
audience.
yeah,
They were like, what's she on about now?
yeah,
Well, we thought we were here for
yeah,
the nature walks. And so I ultimately just decided inside my email provider, I made 2 lists, and I have a
hmm
list of people who are specifically interested in facial yoga. I have a list of people who are interested in nature and nature walks and the mindful walker. And then I have people who are on both lists. So they
yeah,
get both kinds of
yeah,
emails, and that's fine. But rather than sending them both to everybody, rather than bothering
yes,
my 70-year-old guys with information about postmenopausal
yeah,
skincare,
yeah,
I've separated these 2 lists, and that has worked better. I would recommend, if somebody is interested in starting an online business, that you figure out what your core passion and message is first.
yeah,
But I was just dabbling. As I said, it just evolved. I wrote the book, and then I did the website, and then I kind of did the blog, and then I did
yeah,
the videos, and it just snowballed. But had I known a little bit more about setting up an online
yeah,
business, I would have gotten clear first
yeah,
on who I wanted to be on the
yes,
internet
yeah,
and
yeah,
set up that profile. But that being said, both brands are great. They're
yeah,
both fine. I sell things in both area.
yeah,
I make money in both
yeah,
areas.
yeah,
And so I don't regret it, but I do think it's easier to make your identity be one thing. It's
yes,
less confusing for people.
yes,
And since the internet is so noisy anyway, it's probably just
yeah,
easier to just be the
yeah,
one thing.
yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah,
anyway,
yeah, yeah. So it sounds like it was less of a pivot and more of a this is a new thing that I'm building as a separate thing rather than changing. So kind of
it
two
is.
things
Yeah,
exist now rather than just one. But yeah, I think
yeah,
it is interesting because obviously you tried to combine them,
I
but
did.
there was that kind of aspect, wasn't there? But I think with messaging it is quite tricky, isn't it?
It
Yeah,
was.
right.
It
Yeah.
was. And it was, uh, and you tried to help me with that some.
Yeah.
We worked on it together.
Yeah.
I worked on it with my coach, which is
Yes,
always
yes.
the best thing to do because trying to figure this stuff out on your own, it just helps to have
Yeah.
somebody else to talk through it.
Yeah.
And there was, as I say, I knew there was crossover between these 2 audiences, but there wasn't enough to try to combine these 2 brands.
Yeah.
And honestly, I like both of them. I like
Yeah.
what I've built with the Mindful Walker. I like the
Yeah.
Mindful Walker website, look, feel, brand,
Yeah.
idea. videos, YouTube channel, book, journals. I like it all. It's standalone. It's a beautiful thing. And Amazing Face Yoga is different. It
Yeah.
looks different. It feels different. It has a slightly different audience. It has a
Yes.
different, so they just feel better to me as two separate things. The other thing that
Yeah.
I want to mention,
Hmm.
especially for women who are in their 40s, 50s, 60s, older, I like to see my work on the internet as like art projects.
Yes. Yeah.
Like
Yeah. I think that's such
some
a great
people
idea.
learn to paint in their 50s,
Yeah.
right? Some
Yeah.
people learn to rock climb or whatever.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
was the thing that I chose to figure out how to make.
Yes.
So everything that I make when I'm making a new course, or I'm making, for instance, the podcast, or I'm
Hmm.
making a summit, or I'm going to do a bundle, or whatever it is, whatever
Yeah.
next thing I'm going to
Yes.
create, I see it as a fun, cool, creative art project that
Yeah.
might even make me some money.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is a creative outlet for me, for sure.
Yes.
And so I don't see the things that I do as work
Yeah.
necessarily. I
Yeah.
only do the stuff that I feel like is fun.
Yes. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the things that aren't fun, you can always outsource
Well, yeah,
too.
this is it. Yeah. I think there's such a, again, like being able to follow the things that are lighting you up in the moment. And I think, again, you learned something new, you were really passionate about it, you wanted to teach it, and you went with it. And it needed to be something separate, and that's okay. It just, you've still got the mindful walk. And I think
Yeah.
being able to allow yourself to evolve like that, especially as a health hour life coach. And I think I, with
Well,
my
you
work,
did the same thing. You
yeah,
did the
because
same
I did,
thing,
I
did
did
you
all the
not?
health and the well-being stuff, and I think, and I had to make, and I was also running the business coach and stuff like alongside that. And then when I had my little girl at the end of 2019, this is before we quite got into COVID, so I made the right choice,
Yeah.
and had to decide which one to continue with because I just didn't have the time to do both. But it felt, because we change, we don't stay the same as
Right.
people, do we? And I think
Right.
our interests change and what lights us up. And I think if you can follow that, because I think having that passion or interest in what it is that you're talking about within your business or whatever that, whether you even want to call it a business. I'm working with a coach at the moment, and this is not a business, this is me. I've got a passion for something that I want to do, and I want to just do it. And that's great. So I
Right.
think having that, when you've got that passion underneath it, it makes everything so much easier. And I think
Oh, it
allowing
does.
yourself to
It
do that is
does.
really
Because then
important.
you just want to talk about it.
Yeah,
Then it's
exactly.
just
Yeah.
fun. And
Yeah.
it's just, gosh, when I teach my classes, my facial yoga
Yeah.
classes every week, I teach a couple of times a week. These
Yeah.
ladies come in and we just have a blast. And I look
Yeah.
forward to it. It's fun. I get on the internet. These people are my friends. We
Yeah.
smile, we make funny faces,
Yeah.
and we go through this together. And it's just, yeah, it just feels fun and light and easy.
Yeah.
And I just love it. Yeah, I
Yes.
love it. And having a passion for it. And to be honest, if I didn't, I just wouldn't do it anymore
Yeah. Yeah.
because life is too
Yeah.
short.
Yes.
It's You can
It is
absolutely walk
indeed.
away.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the other thing. If you
Yeah.
try something and you don't like it, or it doesn't work, or it doesn't feel light and fun and
Yeah.
easy and uplifting, then either pivot or get out. You don't
Yeah.
have to do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
start something, if you start a YouTube channel and you hate it, you can
Yeah.
just delete it.
Yeah.
It doesn't
Yeah.
you don't have to be saddled to it forever.
Yeah.
Same with
Yeah.
a podcast, same with an entire business.
Yeah.
You can pivot, you can cancel it, you can
Yes.
delete, you can start again.
Yeah.
And
Or
I
like you
like
say,
that
it
idea.
can just exist as a thing in its own right,
It can.
as a body of
Right.
work for one thing that you've created, and that can be out there in the world, and it doesn't, have to
Absolutely, and that's
continue to
kind of
stick to
mindful
it.
walker is
Yeah.
for me. I
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
do a whole lot of new content there, although I
Yeah.
do have another book in the works.
Yes.
But for
Yeah.
the most part, I'm not making new videos.
Yeah.
I'm not making new blog posts. It just is sitting there out
Mhm.
in the world. But you're right, it's a body of
Yeah.
work I'm proud of. People still see it occasionally. People
Yeah.
buy things,
Yeah.
and that makes me happy. I feel like
Yeah.
I am influencing. I'm using my knowledge and my experience to influence people in a positive way and to give them
Yeah.
something beautiful. This again, like an art project. Like you
Yes.
get a
Yeah.
beautiful painting and then it sits
Yeah.
there and people get to enjoy it. And that's how I feel about that business right now. It's just
Yeah.
sitting there like a beautiful piece of art, and people
Yeah.
can enjoy it and benefit from it.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
love that. I think there is something to be said, and I think it gets missed out of the conversation about because it's very easy to get caught up, certainly when I do this, talking about the strategy, talking about the business building, talking about the income. But I think there's something about coaching or this area of work, certainly for a lot of the people in my world, there's a purposefulness about it. And I think there's something that
absolutely.
drives
Yeah.
you to want to share it that is beyond just making money. Because let's face it, there are easier ways to make money
Oh,
than
yeah.
coaching
That's true.
and
That's
try to
true.
set up a coaching business. It's not, there's other quick get, well, this is not a get rich quick thing at all for anyone. And anyone
No.
who thinks that it is, anyone who thinks starting a coaching business is a get rich quick thing, get that idea out of your head. It is not.
No.
But I think it's that thing, people get into this because there's something that you want to share, there's something that you want to do,
Right.
there's something that you want to put out into the world. And I think your
Yeah.
work is such a good example of that and the way that you've done that with the Mindful Walker and now with Amazing Face Yoga as well. So
Yeah.
lovely.
Yeah. Thank
I
you,
love it.
Laura. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a really fun ride, and it's fun to see how things evolve. And I feel like it keeps my brain fresh too.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
know, it
Yeah.
keeps me plugged in because I have to pay attention to what the new things are, what the
Yes.
new trends are, what's
Yeah.
happening,
Yeah.
so that I can keep up with that. And
Yeah.
so it keeps me connected to the wider world in a way that
Yeah.
I think is really good for us as we get
Yes.
older.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that so much. That's amazing. So obviously you were talking about how you've had your YouTube channel before for the Mindful Walker and obviously being on video and is more and more of a like an essential thing these days. I talk about video quite a lot in my work with coaches and the fact that that really supports
Yeah,
people connecting with you in a way that written content doesn't quite hit the same way. And you've just talked there
right.
about how you started putting YouTube videos on your blog posts and things like that. But for anyone who feels a bit unconfident about being on video, and maybe that's connected with just because I think confidence on video covers lots of different areas, whether or not it's how comfortable you feel talking about different topics, or how comfortable you feel like riffing when you're just in front of the video, you're doing a video, whether it's about editing, whether or not it's about how you look. Sometimes I do look at myself on
Yeah.
YouTube and think, bloody hell, I should have put a bit more makeup on today.
Oh, yeah.
But in
Yeah.
terms of that kind of confidence piece and wanting to feel, when you've said a few times as we've been chatting about feeling your best, about you wanting to feel the best at the age that you're at, have you got any tips for women who might be experiencing that bit of a lack of confidence, perhaps about putting themselves being very visible on video and
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's funny because I didn't really think about this, but the desire to feel more confident on camera and to feel like I looked my best and to look my best kind of is what led me to face yoga in the
yeah,
first place.
yeah,
So
I
I
love
was
that.
making
Yeah,
these videos, and I trying to figure out ways to look nice and to look alert and to try to look as good and confident as I could. And maybe I was searching for confidence, or how do I make my skin look better, or I don't know, but it was
yeah,
directly because I was making videos and I wanted to feel confident making those videos that I stumbled into face yoga and originally found it on YouTube. And then,
yeah.
of course, I thought it was a scam to start with. I thought it was fake. I'm like, face yoga, what on earth? What is that
Yeah,
about? But then I watched a couple of videos. I learned more about it. I realized, oh, yeah, you can tone the muscles in your face just like you can your body. And it intrigued me. And so
yeah,
that's how I went down that rabbit hole. And the more I learned about it, the more fascinating I thought it was. And then I started to do it. I started to use facial yoga. And
yeah,
honestly, the idea that I'm toning my face, that I'm working on myself, that I'm giving myself this love, this kindness,
yeah,
and this self-care, it that alone helped improve my confidence. Because a big part of what we do in facial yoga, yes, we're toning, we're doing exercises, we're massaging, we're doing some acupressure, all of these things, but
yeah,
ultimately it's about loving and appreciating and being kind to the face that you have, this
yeah,
beautiful,
yeah,
expressive, amazing face. And when you when you give yourself a little time and grace to love on that face, not just slather on
Yeah.
some anti-aging cream and hope for the best,
Mhm.
but to really care for it, to gently nurture it and work on it, it does raise your confidence in a
Yeah.
way
Yeah.
that other things maybe don't. And
Yes. Yeah.
that helped me, and it helped
Yeah.
make me better at the videos that I was making, more confident, more
Yeah.
comfortable, I
Yeah.
guess,
Yeah. Yeah.
making them than I had been before I discovered face yoga. And then the
Yeah.
more I do it, the better I feel, the more I feel confident in who I am.
Yes.
Whether or not it's perfect, whether or not it looks like it did when I was 40,
Yeah.
I feel confident in who I am today because I
Yes.
know it's the best version of me.
Yes.
And
Yeah. Yes.
that it's really helped me in that way. Yeah.
Yeah. That's amazing. Well, again, if I think in terms of just that, it's a tool that you can use that will make you feel more confident, I think, because if you feel, I think for me, if you feel like you're doing what you can do to support yourself and to
Right.
and again obviously we could talk about all the ins and outs of more invasive procedures and how normalized they've been and personally for me it's not something that I want to contemplate having more of those invasive things. I'd much rather do something that is a bit more natural, a bit less expensive, things like that,
Right.
because I feel like
Right.
once you get on that treadmill of stuff I don't think there's any easy coming off it. Whereas I think with face yoga, it's something that's sustainable that you can do. And and again, you teach how to do this on an ongoing basis. You provide the structure and the
Sustainability is
accountability.
a huge part of
Yeah,
it. Yeah,
yeah,
you're right.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. And again, I think in the online space as well, we are becoming so much more used to seeing people who have had a lot of invasive treatments, and that can knock your
And people who
confidence,
have a lot
can't
of
it?
filters.
Yes, yeah. Well, yes,
Let's be
yes,
honest,
yes.
right?
Yeah,
Laura and
yeah.
I are not using
We're not
filters right
filtered
now.
at all.
What you get.
Exactly. Yes, gosh. But I think just knowing that you've got something that you can use, like a tool that you can use, it's going to help. And again, I do actual yoga for my body every week, and it's a good reminder that you should be doing it. The face is the thing that most
Right?
people, isn't
You
it?
have 57 muscles, 57 in your face,
Yeah.
head, and neck. And most of us, our exercise stops at the neck, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
these are muscles. And the cool thing is they're small muscles.
Mm.
So it doesn't take a ton to tone them. If you're trying
Yeah.
to tone your bum, you got to do a lot of squats. You got to really
Yes.
work it. These
Yeah.
big
Yeah.
muscles, right?
Yeah.
But the muscles in your cheeks, the muscles around your eyes, the muscles here around your mouth,
Yeah.
they're small muscles and they respond to being toned, and
Yeah.
they do it
Yeah.
quickly and they
Yeah.
do it really effectively, but we don't think about it. And
Yeah.
I think we tend to think that just using our face day to day, as we do when we just
Mm.
our daily expressions,
Yeah.
is enough. But
Yeah.
just like walking around, bending down and picking
Yeah.
something up, making
Yeah.
supper, and walking to the mailbox is not enough to tone your body
Yeah.
muscles.
Especially
Doing
as we
our
get
day-to-day
older. Yeah.
stuff
Yeah.
right with our face is
Yeah.
not enough
Yeah.
to really get the tone that we want. But
Yeah.
it can happen really quickly, and I love
Yeah.
that about face yoga.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
amazing. Well, thank you so much for being on the show again.
Yes, this has been so
Yeah,
fun. I always love to have conversations with you,
I
Laura.
know it's
Thank
so
you.
much fun. It's so much fun. But there's lots of places where you can check out Alex's stuff. So first of all, that podcast. So that's amazing. So it's Face Yoga After 50.
Correct.
So go
Yep.
and search on your podcast apps, Face Yoga After 50, and go and check that out. I've just been checking it out on Spotify, so I'm going to listen to that definitely. And then the website is Amazing Face Yoga. Any other links? Your YouTube channel for the Mindful Walk, how people will be able to find that?
Well, you can always check out
Yes,
themindfulwalker.com if
yes,
you are interested in
yeah,
that. I have some beautiful, beautiful resources there, including a
yes,
5-day mindful walking course, a little
yes,
course that's
yeah,
super cheap that you
yeah,
can try it out, and I'll send you a
yeah,
video every day. So that's a nice little
yeah,
introduction to Mindful Walker, and that's just
yes,
at themindfulwalker.com.
yeah.
I'm sure you'll put those links
Yes, I'll put
below.
all the links in the description of this, but please go and check out Alex's stuff. It is incredible. And I think, again, just lovely for you to share your wisdom of being in this space for the time that you've done and all the stuff that you've done. And it's always a pleasure to talk to you and get your
Sure.
insight on
Thank you
everything because
so
it's
much. It's really
wonderful.
fun to reconnect. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for being here. Thank you.